growing up, like most Americans, we heard from our parents, if you go to college, you'll be able to find a good job, or you'll be able to make some of yourself and make a better life than they had. And that was understandable coming from our parents that may have didn't go to college, and you being the first family member to ever go to college, you had those hopes, those dreams that if you did what was right and you went to college and you stayed out of trouble, you got that education, you got that degree, that you could possibly miss the struggle. You possibly wouldn't have to go through the things that your parents have to go through to make sure your bills are paid and things like that. But we see that that's actually a fallacy or a fraud, because we're coming out of school with degrees and still not being able to find a decent job. And because we have no skills other than what we've learned in college, is all knowledge based, that leaves us susceptible to heartache and long periods of unemployment, because we don't have any tangible skills to bridge the gap to make any money until we find a job. And then when we find a job, we're not paid a salary commensurate of what our degree is. And this begs the question, what do we tell our kids that the future will hold for them? Do we tell them the same story of go to college and after you get out of college you will have a better life? Or do we tell them the facts? I was listening to the former CEO of World Bank speak about the 80-20 rule. And he said that 80% of the world's wealth is with the developed countries and 20% of the world's wealth are with the undeveloped countries. But he stated in about 30 years from now, the 80-20 rule will be no more. See, during the 80-20 rule, if you did go to college, you probably could find a job and you probably could make money during the 80-20 rule, because it was that much money that was in the country at the time. And our parents, our grandparents, they enjoyed this 80-20 rule, and they knew that that amount of money would be there. But in 30 years, 80-20 is going to turn to 60-40, with 60% of the wealth being in the undeveloped countries like India, Africa, China, and with the developed countries only having 40% of the wealth. You may ask, how is this possible? It's possible because the undeveloped countries will gain more knowledge they're gaining more knowledge from America. There's actually more students studying from abroad in America than American students studying abroad elsewhere. And they're taking those skills back to their home countries, and they're competing, and with the globalization that's going on, they're making more money. And they will continue to make more money. But we will see that our paychecks, our salaries will continue to dwindle. But you might think that's a lie. But if you look at the amount of money that's going on, that's coming into America, and you look at the employees' wages and their lack of being able to collective bargain, their lack of being able to raise the minimum wage, at least to a rate of inflation, you can see that it would be more true than any time. So do we actually teach our kids to go ahead and go to college, don't study abroad, and stay in America and work hard, when the 80-20 rule would be no more? It would be 60-40, and only 40% of the world's wealth would be in the developed countries. In America, that means it would be billions of people trying to share 40% of the world's wealth. That means your average salary is going to go down. The cost of living is going to go up. That means your quality of life will go down. So when will we put our foot down and stop this? And they wonder why I would choose to run for Congress. It's the same thing that's happening here in Alabama. Whether you Democrat or Republican, we can forget that. Let's leave Democrat and the Republican argument out of it. We're done with that. We are American. I am an Alabamian and I must do what's best for Alabama. I'm not leaving Alabama for anybody. I'm not going to turn my back on Alabama for anybody. So I got to do what I have to do to make Alabama work for the people. That means not voting against my interests. That means not telling the people of Alabama a lie or a story, a fallacy of a story just for political points or to get in office to hoard money. This is not what America is about. This is not what Alabama is about. And I refuse to have my children go through the same thing that I go through. I have a bachelor's degree in risk management and insurance. I have a master's degree in public administration. I write insurance, life insurance, health insurance, property and casualty insurance. And there's no way possible in Alabama that I can make $15 an hour without working for a manufacturing company. I did not go to school that long. I did not learn all the knowledge I had to learn just to build a car. I refuse to do that. There's something wrong when someone that can graduate high school and enter one of those jobs are able to make $14, $15 an hour, and me with a degree have to make only $10 or $11 an hour, and that seems like it's a stretch to most employers to pay that. I refuse for my kids to have to go through that because I did what was right. I stayed out of trouble. I took care of what I had to take care of, and I'm being taken advantage of. And so are you. So when will we step up and fight back? They got us more concerned about reality shows and hip-hop videos and stuff like that. But once you mention anything political, you're a radical. Nobody wants to talk to you. Or we don't do politics. Even churches holler, we don't do politics. But if your congregation is struggling, you need to do politics. If schools don't do politics, but if your students are struggling every time they graduate and they can't find a job, knowing that your student loans are due 6 months after you leave school, then there is a problem. Maybe schools need to be political. Maybe churches need to be political. It's time to make a change. We gotta be the people that stand up for what's right. Martin Luther King did it. Nelson Mandela did it. Malcolm X did it. John F. Kennedy did it. We have to do it.